Hello viewers and welcome to Cute Minds Academy. In this series we'll be looking at circle theorem, and our first lesson here is to understand the parts of a circle. Let's get to it. Now in this first circle, conventionally we use O as the center of our circle. If you have a line drawn from one part of the circumference to another, this type of a line is called a chord. And a chord does divide a circle into two parts, and the parts which a chord divides a circle into is what we call segments. So this smaller one we can call the minor segment, while this larger part we can call it the major segment. So when you hear the word segment, we are sure we have a circle and a chord. Now, for the second one, we have two types of line touching the circle. For this touching the circle, outside of the circle, just at a point, this is what we call the tangent. So a tangent is a line that just touches a circle or even a curve at a single point. While this looks similar to this curve, but this is not a curve, as you can see, it exceeds the part of the circumference outside. They exceed outside the circumference of the circle. So we call this a secant. This is what we call a secant. In this third one, we have the center of the circle here as O. A line drawn from the center of the circle to any part of the circumference. Once it's running from the center to any part of the circumference, we call that a radius. So this is also running from the center to the circumference. So this is another radius. So if we are looking at the two lines at the same time, that means we now have a line running from one part of the circumference to another. But in this case, it is passing through the center. So it's unlike this, that is running from one part of course to another, but it's not passing through the center. The whole length here is what we call a diameter. So we can deduce that 2 radii makes a diameter. So just like a chord, the diameter divides a circle into two, but in this case, two equal parts, which we call a semicircle. The parts are called half of a circle or a semicircle. So in this last one, if this is the center of the circle, of course, just like we explained, this is a radius. From the center to the circumference, another radius. So we have a part of the circle enclosed by these two radii, and of course, this is an arc. And before I forget, the entire part of the circle is what we refer to as the circumference. We call it the circumference. So if we are cutting a part or a portion of the entire circumference out, we call that an arc. So in this case, this is a minor arc. It's smaller compared to the other one, which we can call the major arc. So we have an arc and we have two radii. So at any point in time, we have two radii and an arc. The area of the circle that is enclosed is what we call a sector. So this is a sector. So when we have a sector, we have two radii and an arc. That's what makes a sector. Or we say it is the area or the portion of the circle bounded by two radii and an arc. So this is smaller. We can as well call this a minor sector, while we call this a major sector. So in the next class, we'll be diving into the theorems of circle. Ensure you follow for more. See you on the next one.